you haven't pre-ordered F1 2017 just yet, guys, don't forget to check out Simply Games for a brilliant price as well. Be top link down the description, guys, and if you order through that link, you also help me out. Hello everyone, and welcome back, guys, to episode 3 of my F1 2017 McLaren Honda Career Mode, guys. And today we are here for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and this one, it's going to be a tough one, you know, once again. Obviously, the whole first season, I'm going to be saying it's going to be a tough race because, you know, it's a long game, you know, and I'm still really enjoying it, guys. Obviously, we had 2 episodes go out yesterday, guys. We've got 1 episode coming out today, as well as the start of my Williams Career Mode as well, and then we'll be going back to 2 episodes of this tomorrow, as well as 1 episode of the Williams Career Mode, guys. So, you know, I'm trying to grind out as much of this as I possibly can at the moment, guys. You know, if you're enjoying it, don't forget to smash that like button, as well as subscribe if you haven't already, you know. Really just trying to, you know, I've obviously been given the game early, so I'm trying to use that opportunity to give you guys as much content as I possibly can. But here we are then at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and that is not looking good. Let's hear what Chris has to say.
Development parts didn't fare too well in testing. I put it on hold for now. You can restart work from the laptop. We're going to have to go back now and make some adjustments in order to get the final numbers looking more like we were expecting from the simulation.
And that is not an ideal way to start off the weekend there. And no real surprises as well. It was the engine part that failed. So, you know, what a happy coincidence that is. You know, the McLaren Honda has no power anyway. And now we can't even upgrade the engine so it does have any power there. So that's a little bit soul-destroying now. I would have quite liked, I think it's about an extra 5 horsepower boost coming into this race, guys. But the weight reduction, on the other hand, did work there, the chassis weight reduction, so that'll help us out just a bit down the straight to 2.5 kilogram weight reduction there, so obviously very useful, as well as the durability on the the MGUK there has also been given a bit more durability there, as well as the MGUH, so hopefully, you know, those two can help us out in the long run, guys, in this career mode, obviously. But obviously a lot of upgrades to still be done to the car. We've obviously got 3 on the durability and then 1 on the chassis so far. We're going to have to pay another 500 points to try and fix the ignition, I think it was, problem that unfortunately didn't work in testing, guys. But moving on then into free practice, and obviously the best way to get new upgrades on the car is to do all the free practice sessions. You know, I was just going to try and grind through as many of these as I possibly could, you know. 50 R&D points, 30 R&D points, all very useful. You know, it really adds up in this career mode, guys. So get 50 straight away nicely on the track acclimatization lap, as well as 30 on the tyre wear run there. So very happy with those 2 results. Nice and early in free practice 1 there. And now moving on to the fuel saving run as well. Out of the final corner we go, and that was also going to be another 30 R&D points there, guys. I'm going to leave out the other 2 because unfortunately I wasn't able to do them. I think one of them I missed out by about 1,000th of a second or something ridiculous like that, which is a bit gutting. But moving on then, having a look at obviously the resource points that we were able to take home from free practice there. We're up to 469, so not enough yet for another upgrade for the McLaren. But the upgrade, if we do obviously get to 500, will be the ignition, guys. But having a look then, interestingly, at the engine, and it was already looking like the the ICE was not looking particularly good wear-wise, as well as the MGUK. The MGUK was really struggling at the moment. I was honestly contemplating moving on to the second engine for the Bahrain Grand Prix, but I decided against it in the end. Sort of just wanted to, you know, this race will most likely be a struggle one now because, well, most of the engine parts are over about 40% wear, and when you get them up to about 50, you really start seeing a knockback in performance, guys. So moving on into Russia, I'm most likely going to move over, you know, try and get onto some new engine parts. Probably go for a whole overhaul in the grand scheme of things there. But at the end of my first run in qualifying there, it wasn't a particularly solid lap there. And having a look at the live timing, the timing screens at the end there, we were way off Stoffel's time there. We were behind Marcus Ericsson as well there. So this meant on our second run in the qualifying here, you know, I really needed to try and go all out, guys, to see coming to the end of Sector 2 here. We are up in the green at the moment, but we are just pushing this car to the absolute limits, trying to find every last fraction of a second we possibly can out of it at the moment. You know, the main aim is to out-qualify Stoffel as often as we possibly can as we come into the final sector. They're pushing all over the curbs, trying to use every inch of the circuit and more as we possibly can. And down in towards the final corner, braking nice and early there, so you get a nice tidy run. Clipping the inside curb there, pushing right out to the curb on the exit, guys. And down towards the line, it's going to be nearly an 1/8 improvement there. And up into P17 we go there, moving up past my teammate and my teammate Van Dorn, as well as one of the Saubers there. So that in the end did all come out all right there. And I was a little bit worried up to that point. You know, the qualifying pace this season has been far from strong generally. But the Bahrain, especially with the engine wear at the moment, the car is really, really struggling. You know, that's sort of just one of those things that obviously really adds up in this game. You know, you've just got to think so far into the future there, guys. But as you can see, at the end of qualifying there, we were able to out-qualify Stoffel Van Dorn by just 0.2 of a second there. But, you know, we've out-qualified him, and that is all that matters there. Just behind the two Renault cars, still 8/10 off of the Renault cars there, just ahead of me. So it is very much like, you know, the backmarkers, McLaren and Sauber, have still got a long way to go. But let's move on then into the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Massa, Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, and Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, Stroll, and Esteban Ocon, Kvyat, Magnussen, Carlos Sainz, and Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Palmer, and McLaren, and Stoffel Van Dorn, Ericsson, and Pascal Wehrlein completes the grid. And now...
But here we are then, guys, on the grid, ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. The game reckons a 2-stop is the best strategy, but, you know, with the way the engine's looking at the moment, I'm going to try and, you know, sort of gamble it a bit on an alternate strategy, guys. And although it's obviously showing me as a 2-stop, I'm going to try and 1-stop this Bahrain Grand Prix from a set of mediums to a set of the soft tyres. You know, it's going to be a long old race. This is something that we're going to find out probably quite a few times during this career mode. You know, there will just be races where we are going to struggle a huge amount in comparison to the AI, guys. But ready then for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. P17 on the grid. It's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it is lights out, and away we go, getting off to a huge amount of wheel spin on the initial launch there, but getting off to a not too decent start there. The Sauber of Ericsson trying to muscle his way up the inside there, and we're just going to try and find our own clean space down in towards turn 1 here, trying to brake nice and late there, but unfortunately Ericsson squeezing me out wide there. A little bit of contact with my teammate there. There's a Williams there off on the left-hand side there, but we get a legal overtake on Van Dorn there, so that has not been a particularly successful start. We're going to try and hold around the outside of Wehrlein there, but Ericsson parks it just in front of me there, so unfortunately that has left me down in P19 there. I've lost out a couple of positions from the start, but obviously on the medium tyres, this is going to be a very long race. Now, it's sort of going to be one of those ones where it all comes out good right at the very end, I hope, for myself, guys. But having a look already, the MG UK already at over 40% wear there, which certainly isn't ideal. We're going to have to monitor that all the way throughout this Grand Prix, but the Sauber's still just ahead of me here, side by side as we go through Sector 2 here. They've really cost each other just a bit of time here, so I'm going to have a little bit of a run on Pascal Wehrlein in the Sauber here. Going to have a look down the inside at the end of the second straight there, with a little bit of contact is made, but we do move up into P18 of this Grand Prix here. And, you know, this hasn't been a particularly successful lap 1, but I wasn't expecting, you know, to try and make up positions early on in the Grand Prix. You know, sort of this whole race aim is just to out obviously finish my teammate Van Dorn, and also, you know, ideally try and get P15 overall, but it's looking like a very tall order as we come through the final corner to finish lap 1 of this Bahrain Grand Prix there. It's been a fairly poor start on the whole, unfortunately. You know, losing out positions is never what you want to do there, guys. But skipping on to lap 3 here, and we got the Williams of Felipe Massa trying to have a look up my inside down towards turn 1 here, and, you know, he had a very strong qualifying up in P3 there, and I'm not really going to probably hold him up too much in this Grand Prix, as he's probably got an extra 60-70 horsepower there, as I lose the back end absolutely massively there twice. Pretty good save, if I do say so myself. But Massa romps on by up into P18 here, and we're just going to try and hold on ahead of Pascal Wehrlein at this moment in time, guys, as the back end once more kicks out through into the second sector there. But at the moment, you know, we're losing out a huge amount of time to the guys ahead of me there. My teammate Van Dorn as well as Ericsson sort of able to hold on to the back of the next pack up the road there, guys. See, by the end of lap 5, just really, the pace is really falling off on this set of medium tyres. But, you know, we're going one pit stop less than the rest of the field. So, you know, if we can be by sort of about lap 20 when we do make our pit stop, if we can be, you know, nicely up the order, that would be very ideal. But you can just see now, having a look at the MG UK there, it is really struggling at this moment in time. Over 50% wear, so we're really going to start feeling a huge deficit on the power, you know, more than normal in this McLaren Honda. I think top guys were bottoming out at about nearly 200 miles an hour down this front straight, and I could barely pull 183. So that really does just say it all as we move on further into this Bahrain Grand Prix here. We got Verline still all over my gearbox here. He thinks about going for a move, but thinks better of it as we reach the end of the second straight there, guys. And now skipping on to lap 7 here. Still just trying to drag this car around as much as we possibly can. But the first few drivers have started making their pit stops here. And Verstappen in a Renault power unit. You know, the Renault power unit isn't strong, but that is just a brilliant showing of how little power this McLaren Honda really does have there. You know, just really not what I need in this Grand Prix. Bahrain, not exactly a difficult track to overtake on as well. You know, you've got like 4 or 5 good opportunities. You know, heavy braking zones, long straights, you know, really sort of overhaul this McLaren, you know, sort of push me to the side, if you will. You know, it's one of those odd things on this game, obviously, where we have got so far to go with this McLaren that it's oddly satisfying and demotivating all at the same time to be so far off the pace. But, you know, it just makes me even hungrier to try and get this car up to fighting form, you know, by sort of Season 2, Season 3, guys. But coming down the pit straight there, we do move up into P14 there as we've got the Red Bulls of Verstappen and Ricciardo just up the road. But now, obviously, you have to remember, we've only got to make the same amount of pit stops as these guys from now to the end of the Grand Prix there. And now skipping on to the end of lap 8 here. Verline trying to have a look down the inside. He's finally going to go for the move there. Up the inside he goes, and that's going to move him up into P14 of the Grand Prix there. My teammate Van Dorn also now has dived into the pit lane for his first of 2 stops this Grand Prix there, and that's going to elevate me just up inside the top 10 there. I think as we come down this front straight here, we got Perez trying to look up my inside there, as well as Ocon exiting the pit lane here. So we're going to try and have a look right around the outside of the pair of them there through turn 2 there, but Ocon all over the curbs there, somehow able to get the power down and move back up into the points in this Grand Prix there. Perez going up my inside down the next straight as well. So just proving, you know, that there are a lot of opportunities to overtake cars in this Grand Prix there, guys. So unfortunately, back outside the points we go there. Not exactly ideal, but that's sort of just what this race is going to be like as we skip on to lap 15 here. A few more cars have snuck on by, and you know, didn't really want to have to show all of them because it's just painful to watch, you know, just every single car soaring by here. But Lance Stroll now, the next car, trying to have a look past me. Down my inside into the final corner we go there, and I'm going to try and go for a bit of a switch back there, but unfortunately Stroll does park it on the apex there. But now, as you can see, we're on lap 15 of the Grand Prix there, and Van Dorn is still the car behind me here, and you know, we're both going to have to go on a set of these soft tyres to the very end of the Grand Prix here. So we're looking at the moment like, obviously, we have been able to overcut my teammate here. We will have a pace advantage all the way through to the end of the Grand Prix here, but we're also up in P15 at the moment. So, you know, we're holding on actually quite nicely, you know, to both our objectives, you know, from this Grand Prix. Beat our teammate and finish P15. Coming into this race, I thought P15 was very over-optimistic there, guys. But we're going to dive it down now into the pit lane on the end of lap 17 here. Going to go for a 12-lap stint on the set of the the soft tyres to the very end of the Grand Prix there, guys. And it's going to be interesting, you know, this outlap is going to have to be crucial to see where we do come out in the grand scheme of things in this race. Obviously, we're going to exit the pit lane down in last place there. Not exactly what I wanted in this race, but, you know, the pace, the engine wear, it's just not been on my side in this Bahrain Grand Prix here. And hopefully by Russia, with a new overhaul on the car, you know, we should be a little bit closer to the rest of the pack, guys. But coming now through 1 lap later, and we are now going to move back up into P17 of the Grand Prix we go there. Sainz actually in the Toro Rosso having a very poor day out down in P18 there, and you know, we're going to try and defend from him during the last few laps of this Grand Prix. And now skipping on to lap 21 here under P16 as someone else has made a pit stop here, and now we've got sights all over my gearbox here, hoping for me that we can just try to defend with all my worth. The team were telling me, that we shouldn't be using rich revs to try and save the MG UK here, but we're going to go all out to try and defend this position, guys. We squeeze them out wide through the final corner of this race. 7 laps to go. It's going to be a very, very tall order to try and hold on, but now we've got someone else in the pit lane there of Lance Stroll. So this takes us back up into P15 there, my race objective, and this is just going to try and push me even more to try and hold on to this position as Stroll has a look up my inside through turn 1 there. We do hold it right around his outside we go there through turn 2, guys, and now he's going to have a look down my inside there. We're going to squeeze him towards the inside down towards turn 3 here, and we're going to move back out to the outside there, give myself the widest run there, squeeze him out over the curbs, but we do hold on to P15 for now in this Grand Prix, and now skipping on 4 laps later, Sainz sort of backed out and has now come back for, a second helping, a second bite at the cherry, if you will, guys. But coming through this Sector 2, and Sainz, he's getting ever closer once more in this Grand Prix. But luckily for me, Kimi Räikkönen now has actually retired from the Grand Prix there, so that's going to give me 1 extra position here. If we can hold on to P14, that would be very, very nice there. But Sainz, using the DRS and the rich revs, they're going to move up my inside in towards the next corner there. Not exactly what I wanted there, but we do obviously move back up into P15 there as Räikkönen now is out of this Grand Prix, guys. And unfortunately, Sainz, I was hoping, we could try and get back past him down this final and the first straight there, but he's just pulled away absolutely massively there straight away. Just really shows how much extra pace he did have by the end of this Grand Prix there, guys. But coming on to the end of lap 28, and Valtteri Bottas there right behind me is going to come through to be the 3rd race winner from the 3rd team to win in this F1 2017 season there. He's won the Bahrain Grand Prix. He'll be very, very happy with that. Obviously, very, very strong showing for Mercedes. There obviously has been some doubts over their performance early on in this season. The first time they've been able to take a win, and they're way down in the constructors as well. Reliability, especially after Australia, was also in question there. But for Bottas to take home that race victory, that is very, very ideal, guys. But the race hasn't finished for me just yet. Obviously, Ericsson, the car behind, has now finished his race, but Bottas obviously finishing his race now. He's still pushing to try and get back into Parc Fermé here, so we're sort of just going to try and move out of the way here. He gives me a bit of a barge on the exit of that corner there, which I thought, was a little bit funny. Obviously, he's already finished his race, and he's still so much quicker than me in the McLaren Honda. But we do get DRS from him there, guys, as we come through down in towards the final sector of the race. Now, I was still pushing because I wasn't going to trust the game. If Ericsson did get past me, I wasn't 100% sure if it would gift him the position, guys, as we come through into the final sector, though, of this Bahrain Grand Prix. It's been one of those very, very McLaren-esque races once more, where we've just had to try and take the race very, very differently to the rest of the field there, just race my own race there, guys. But down in towards the final corner of the Bahrain Grand Prix, it's going to be P15 there, which on the whole, I'm still very, very happy with there. And obviously, unfortunately, no points from that race, but we did all the objectives that we aimed out to achieve.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hound on the wheel, of course.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Well, my driver of the day was Nico Hülkenberg. He did a cracking job moving through the field and just highlighting why he's so highly rated in the paddock.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. Red Bull have extended their lead over the championship. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Until next time though, goodbye.
But there we are then, guys, the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix there. P15 overall in the end, and obviously we saw 3 different drivers from 3 different teams have won the 3 different races there. But Max Verstappen, after that race victory at Australia, still holds on just about to the lead of the drivers' standings there. 4 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas there with the Ferraris in P3 and P4. Ricciardo in P5 there, and Sergio Perez doing a sterling job, still ahead of Lewis Hamilton there overall in the standings. It has not been the start of the season that Lewis would have liked. They're down in P7, sandwiched between the Force India cars there. Felipe Massa is looking very, very feisty as well in P9 there, with Romain Grosjean in the Haas in P10. Danny Kvyat is just outside the top 10 there with 6 points, and Kevin Magnussen and Hülkenberg are tied. Have a look though at the constructors' standings, and with the 2 points I scored at Australia still, guys, we are holding on to P9 just for now. 2 points behind Renault and 4 behind Toro Rosso, guys. But hopefully, you have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe for more of my F1 2017 McLaren Honda career mode, guys. I'm still trying to get out as many videos from this series as I possibly can, and I will see you at the Russian Grand Prix.